All right, y'all. So back here at the Indian Motorcycle Dealership, I'm here with Scott and Marie. They just purchased a motorcycle. So if you could please just give me a description of what you bought and then your experience with the buying process.
So I bought a 2023 Chief Dark Horse, and buying process was great. Been excited all the way in here. I'm ready to get back out on the road. Had a motorcycle coming out of the military, but I had multiple surgeries and wasn't able to ride. So this is my first one back on it after a few years, and I am ready to get back out on the road.
Awesome.
He is super excited.
Good stuff. And then what branch?
Air Force.
Air Force. I was retired Air Force too, man.
There
That's
you go.
awesome.
Yep.
So congratulations on your bike.
Thank you.
And also with that, just to give him a little help, we're gonna give him a $500 card here. There you go.
Nice.
That'll come off your purchase, so it'll take like some of the taxes or something off.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Not a
Nice.
problem.
Thank you.
So, welcome to
You
the
just-
Indian
you just
family.
made Marie happy.
Yeah,
there.
there you go. Saving a little bit of money.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, hey, it was nice to meet both of you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, y'all, what's going on, man? As you can see, I'm here at the Indian Motorcycle Dealership because I got Tom back here who just picked up a new bike. And of course, I want to get his quick thoughts on it and, just to see what he says. All right, we got Tom here. So I normally ask people to introduce themselves, but I already said your name twice. But what did you pick up today?
Pursuit Dark Horse Icon.
Nice. So what drew you to this bike?
Well, the color, besides it being not black and like every other bike out there, and my old bike, just the color really pops. It's just a really nice looking bike,
Yeah,
well
for
put
sure.
together. And I had them put the half risers on there, handlebars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the mitered mid-rise, right?
Yeah, the mid rise.
Yeah, yep. So those are nice. I had those on my Challenger. They're really comfortable. And what were you riding before?
I had a Road Glide, 2006 Road Glide.
Okay. Oh, okay. So we switched up.
Yes.
So I take it you're not one of those brand loyalist types.
No,
No. Okay.
no,
so
just like comfortable bikes.
for sure.
And really, ridden these. I was looking at the Challenger before the Pursuit came out.
Okay.
And so we went with this bike, and it rides great.
Right. And your wife, she rides an Indian motorcycle as well, right?
Yes.
She has a
Chieftain.
Chieftain.
Yeah.
Okay. And guys, look,
Dark Horse
you guys already seen her on the channel. She didn't think she was gonna be on, but there she is. That's Tina. All right. So first of all, congratulations on the bike.
Thank you.
Second off, we're gonna hit him with a $500 off. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. So pretty nice. It was good meeting you.
Good meeting you.
And enjoy that. Oh, look, the wife already took it. Hey, it was good while it lasted, man. All right.
Nice.
All right, so as always, I'm back up here at the Indian Motorcycle Dealership, but I had to bring the truck today. Look at her, she's just busy. She's busy bee. She's on her phone doing things, trying to walk and type. Peoples, what's going on? This is your boy Finesse. This right here is the 2023 Indian Scout Bobber Icon in the Stealth Gray Azure. All right, so like I said, this is the 2023 Indian Scout Bobber in the Icon edition in the Stealth Gray Azure. If you can't tell, we got a theme going. But anyways, just to give you a little background as to why we purchased this bike. So, for a long while, Mrs. Finesse was actually looking at this bike to being her first bike. And after we had some conversations and things, and the type of riding that I was looking to do, which was some of the longer distance stuff, we decided to go with the Chieftain, just because it's got the larger fuel tank and it's more comfortable. All right, so that's why we went with the Scout, that's why we went with the Chieftain. But Mrs. Finesse never stopped liking this bike, and when we saw one in the Stealth Gray Azure, which is the Icon, when we saw the Icon at the dealership, I did my best. Sometimes you're just in that moment. So we decided to go ahead and pick the bike up. This has been a really fun bike, but I don't want to get too far into that. Let's get into this review. All right, everybody, let's start the review of this 2023 Indian Scout Bobber Icon in the Stealth Gray Azure. This bike features a 69 cubic inch engine with 100 horsepower. It also has ABS, and because it's the Bobber, you're going to see the chopped fenders with the minimalistic approach to the design of the bike. If you're coming around the side here, you're going to have a single disc brake setup, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the disc for the ABS. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. You have a 2-piston caliper here. The wheel itself is a 16-inch. It's a mag wheel. On the Indian Scouts, you also have a version of the bike with the spoked wheels. And I want to say that you can modify that in the configurator, or you can swap those parts in and out, but I like this look over the spoked wheels, and it's going to be easier to clean. All right, so moving up front here, you do have a standard 5-inch headlight, which puts out this that old school yellowish light. Which we're gonna have to swap out at some point. But through Indian Motorcycle, you do have a few options. You have a option for a 5-inch adaptive headlight. There's also the 5-inch Pathfinder headlight. The Pathfinder headlight, you're commonly going to see those on the FTRs. If you ever seen an FTR, the way they have their headlights, that's the same headlight that goes in here. All right, and I haven't had any experience with either one of those in the 5-inch versions of the lights, but I'm assuming, it's bright. It's definitely going to be brighter than what's on there. All right. Of course, you've got your LED turn signals, both front and rear. They're just bullet style, nothing too fancy there. These are on a rubber mount, or it's designed to break off, is what it is. Just the same as any other motorcycle manufacturers. They all do the same thing. Also, this headlight housing. So I've had people ask me, or they were under the impression that these Indian motorcycles had a lot of plastic on them. That's just not the case. This is metal. This is metal. And throughout the bike, you're going to see that it's mostly metal. There's really not a lot of plastic on here. Definitely, there's only that I'm aware of. There's only one body part that's actually plastic, and that's where the radiator is. So, yeah, this is all metal. So, moving right back up here, you have your triple tree up here, and it's nice. Look how neat they put those wires. That is just nice and tucked in. You don't see stuff all over the place. I mean, there's just really not a lot of anything sticking out of the neck of this bike. Obviously outside of this one line here, and then the lines that go down to the brakes, and then you've got a wire harness. So on this side, you know, yes, there are a few things there, but it's still, you know, there's not a lot of electronics on here. So there's not going to be a lot of stuff just hanging out and flopping around. So I think Indian Motorcycle does a really good job of routing wires and doing those sorts of things. All right, so moving up to the hand controls. Again, like I said, this is the Bobber, this is the Scout. Everything is basic, everything is minimal. So you get just some standard controls. However, even right here, you've got the Indian logo stamped into this into the controls that's on either side. Done very tastefully. If you're looking at the master cylinder here, there's a sight gauge for you. And also, as you can see, it's got the bar end mirrors. There's these little plugs here, right? So if you wanted to go with the standard mirror, you can just screw them in right there. All right. So moving around front, looking at the controls, nothing fancy here. Like I said, it's just standard controls. You got your high beam, low beam. You got your hazard turn signal, your horn. On the back side, there's a trigger button that's going to cycle your information through this little LCD display. You got your standard speedo. But anyway, you have all your indicators here, standard indicators for speedometers. Nothing crazy there. When this fuel light comes on, because there is no fuel gauge with this bike, when the fuel light comes on, you have about 30 miles or so. Obviously, that's depending on how you're driving. You got about 30 miles or so left in your tank. So, you know, just be aware of that light so that you don't have, what is it, range anxiety? Oh, man. All right, so over here on the side, you also have a USB port right here, so you can charge your devices. So really convenient. Look, you wouldn't even know it's there if you didn't, if you didn't see it. But we're definitely going to be using that because we're going to, mount the phone somewhere, obviously, and that way you can use your GPS and everything else. And listen to your music through your headset, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Over here, you got your run, stop, and you have your start button. These bar end mirrors. So when I saw this bike, I don't even know if I test drove one with it on, but when I saw these, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, those are going to be like absolutely useless. The wind is going to be blowing it around. The vibration from the engine is going to be shaking it. I figured that these would not be useful. However, boy, was I wrong, because those rear view mirrors are superb. Like there's not a lot of vibration, even though they're at the end of the handlebars. These are some short handlebars, granted, but they're at the end of those handlebars. You think there would be like so much like you wouldn't think that you'd be able to see anything out of there, but man, that is not the case. It is clear. You can see what's going on behind you without any issues, and it's not like it's some super duper thick mirror. I mean, that's thin. It's coming down in there. When they designed those, they did a really good job at designing those mirrors, man. It's the little things. It's the little things. All right. So when we're looking at the body of the bike, of course you're gonna have your tank here. Like I said, 3.3 gallons, and then you've got your Indian logo, and it says Scout. So if you ever see an Indian Scout on the road, and it just says Indian, then you've got there's two different engine types. I can't remember the actual displacement of that bike. However, it's a 5-speed, and it has like I said, it has a different displacement. But I'll have that up here on the screen just to give you some information. But if you see that it has the Scout logo here, then and of course you've got these chrome topped heads. That means this is a 69 cubic inch, 100 horsepower version of the Indian Scout. So that's how you tell them apart versus the regular Scout, I guess if you want to call it the standard Scout, and then a Scout with the higher displacement. So real easy. If you haven't noticed it, then now you're going to be running around town and you see one, you're going to be looking to see if it has a Scout on there. But at any rate, that's how you tell them apart. Looking down here, this is the radiator shroud. This is part of the frame, right? You got your neck coming down here, down to the surround of the radiator. And like I said, there was only the one plastic piece, which is this here, which is your guard for the radiator, I guess. Just to direct the air into the radiator. That piece is plastic. All right. And then, of course, you have your single-sided exhaust. You got a nice little cover here. It says Indian on it. It's got a nice little machined face on it. When you're looking at these engines, man, so the Power Plus engine and the engine that they have in here, man, these are just some beautiful, beautiful engines. Hopefully, this engine will cross over to maybe another model or two, or maybe we could see it in a Springfield. Maybe we could see it in a Chieftain or something. I don't know. Maybe they're saving this for certain things. I don't know. But what I can tell you though, it is just beautiful. You don't see a lot of shaking and stuff. You're just able to look at the bike and just bring in all that information, all that beauty coming from this engine. All right, so this seat is a standard seat. Me, I'm 5'9". I typically find myself sitting on this ridge, so that makes the seat kind of uncomfortable. The seat that comes on the Rogue, the seat that comes on the standard Scouts, the seat, there's two different versions that come on the standard Scout. One's a little wider than the other. All of those seats are way more comfortable. Hello. All right, looking at those seats. So all of those other seats are way more comfortable than this seat. So I can already see us replacing this seat. Not only because it's not comfortable, but it also does not match the bike, at least in my opinion. I'd want either just an all black seat or a gray seat or something to that effect. But anyway, moving along. The heat shields have like this little design on them there. So I don't know how functional that is. But to me, it looks a little, what you want to call it, like a design flair. Like if you had it from a custom shop, it adds a bit of a custom biker shop feel to it. All right. And then, like I was saying, with the frame being up there, this is also part of the frame back here. So all of this is metal. All of this connects to the engine. The engine's part of the frame, coming on through down through the spine. Like there is no plastic on this bike. I think the bike weighs somewhere like 500 and something, 540, somewhere in there, 540 pounds when it's fueled up. So 100 horsepower, 500 something pounds, man, ball of fun. All right. So the standard shocks here, they are adjustable. You getting, a couple inches of travel, not a lot of suspension feel going on here. And that's also going to be one of the things that we change. From the information that I got from other Indian Scout owners, the piggyback shocks is the way to go. So that's more than likely that's what we're going to do. So like I said, back here, there's this rail. You also have these plugs here for adding like a rack or a passenger seat. Those types of things, which we aren't going to do. You also, on the back, you've got a single disc back here, as well as, like I said, let me know if that's the ABS disc, which I believe it is, if I remember correctly. And this it looks like a one piston caliper for the brake back here. And I'm here to tell you, man, between these two brakes, front and rear, there is more than enough stopping power to bring this bike to a halt. So, just because it's got the one disc back there, it's not going to be an issue. All right, so you also have this reflector back here, and it also has the Indian Motorcycle logo on there. Really nice. You get some more of this brick tread pattern. So this pattern on the rear is a bit more aggressive than the one on the front. The one on the front, they were. You see how far that is? The one on the front seems a little closer. Well, I don't think it is. I think it's the same tread pattern. Maybe it's just an optical illusion. These here seem thicker. They might be slightly. So I don't think I'm going too crazy. All right, like I said, you got the bullet style LED lights. So back here you have this license plate cover. Now it does have like a mechanism on there if in case it gets bumped or something. But we're gonna be changing this out. So I don't like this thing sticking out. It's gonna be coming straight up and down. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna actually, because this piece is plastic, right? That holds the license plate on. That piece is plastic. All right. But what I'm going to do, and there'll be a video on it, I'm going to take the plate off. I'm going to turn it sideways so it's going up and down, and I'm going to just chop the other end off. And I don't have to worry about getting a new light. I don't have to worry about running wires through the fairing. I don't have to worry about, whatever, this, that, and the other. And worst case scenario, if something goes wrong, I can just replace it. And I can get it right from Indian Motorcycle. So, too easy. All right, more reflectors. You have your belt guard. You got your belt on this side of the swing arm. You got the suspension again. This bike does have a key. So you got your traditional old style key. And this little kickstand, man. Itty bitty little kickstand. But yes, overall, it is just a beautiful, beautiful bike. I mean, look at that. Look at that azure. The sun came out. It's helping us out. Oh, yeah. Look at the azure on that paint. That is just beautiful. Beautiful. Indian Motorcycle did a really good job with this bike as far as, keeping it minimalistic, keeping it fun, giving you that power. Blocking my driveway, so I gotta get out of this here. We're gonna go down here on the sidewalk. All right. So we are now out on the 2023 Indian Scout Bobber Icon. While the lean angle is not all that great, you can still turn the bike with ease at slow speeds. So doing U-turns, doing figure eights, doing those kinds of things, this bike is going to be super simple for you. And I'm not doing anything drastic right now. I don't have any engine guards on. So once we get the engine guards on and whatever else we got coming, then I'll start doing some other things. But for right now, we're just going to keep it simple. So maneuverability, very maneuverable. The only time you're really going to run into that ground clearance is when you're at speed trying to take corners. That's where you're going to find out where the ride angle, you're going to reach that limit very quickly. All right, so we just passed a few bumps there, and I'm pretty sure you heard it in my voice. You probably hear it now. This isn't the smoothest of roads, but the suspension, really tight suspension. It's a sporty bike, so and it's a small bike. Your travel is not going to be as comfortable as it is on the big heavyweight cruisers. So, is it the stiffest thing I've ever ridden? No, because this has the suspension. When you get to those bikes that don't have suspension, I forget what they call them. They're like rigids or whatever. You can tell me in the comments. I'm not really sure. But anyways, so suspension is stiff. Is it uncomfortable to the point where, you know, like it's hurting my back or my butt? On short rides, no. I could see this if you're doing anything longer than an hour or two, you know, you're gonna start feeling it. This position of the bars in this, it's giving me a slightly forward feel. You know, the low bars, that's one of the things that either you like it or you don't. There's mini apes you can get for this, and you know, there's these. I want to say there might be one or two other types of bars that you can get for this. I've seen people have risers on them, you know, and all those kinds of things. So, you know, you got options out there for you. The engine smooth. Like I said, there's very little vibration. Changing gears, shifting gears. Look at that, smooth. The clutch is good. The throttle is good. You don't have that lag in the throttle like you do with the Challenger, the Pursuit. Because I want to say this is all like wired in. This is not like a drive-by-wire. This is like old school. You know, you got a cable. So it's very tactile. Very, you know, the bike is talking to you. The bike is telling you, hey, this ain't the best spot to be in. Find something a little smoother. But as far as my seating position, I am 5'9". I have a size 12 shoe. So you can see how hopefully you can see how my foot is on here. To change gears and ride comfortably, I have to constantly move my foot forward and back. Here at the stoplight, I've got a nice bend in my leg. My arms are straight out. My back is up. So, very good there. And, you know, with this bike being 500 pounds, and I'm used to, you know, 800-900 pound bikes, this bike feels like a toy. Like, it feels like there's nothing under you but just like the wheels. The bike disappears from underneath you. But to remind you that you're still on the bike, there's that seat, and like I said, it's got that ridge in the back of the design. That's where my butt is sitting on. So, you know, I feel that seat. Now, the other seat options that come on the Scouts, I sat on them at the dealership, and all of those feel way more comfortable. Actually, when I took the Scout to Cycle Gear for one of the bike nights, that seat was comfortable. Of course, you know, the suspension was, you know, it is what it is. It was stiff, but like I said, those seats were comfortable. I could feel myself sitting for a longer time because I don't have that ridge in my tailbone. Now, granted, the majority of people that are going to be buying this bike are, you know, maybe my height or shorter, but, you know, comfort is comfort, right? And there's those options for the seats, so not a big deal. All right, so we're gonna get out of the neighborhood here and take a little trip. So I'm doing the speed of 25 miles an hour in this turn, and I still got a little bit of room, you know, because our neighborhood is 25 miles an hour. But, you know, you still have room in that turn in order to lean the bike over a little bit more if you needed it. All right. So those shifts are good shifts. The bike is not like herky-jerky, and we are quickly up to speed. And you gotta lean down a little bit because you're getting all of that wind. So very interesting, very interesting. I'll probably see if I can't talk Miss Finesse into a small windshield. A small windshield for this, I think that would actually do a great deal with one of those smaller windshields. Now, they do have the option to have that front fairing up there. My style, I'm not a fan of it. It does have that, it does look like the Chieftain front end, which is kind of cool. But there's nothing back there because it's just a fairing. It's just to keep the wind off you, or at least divert some of the wind. But it's not designed to be like, entertainment system and speakers and all that. So essentially it's just a shell. So my particular style, I'm not into that thing, so we're probably not going to go that route. We're probably just going to go like the small window. I want to say it comes about right here, just to direct some of that off the torso of your body and, bring it up to your head. And plus, if you're doing anything sporty, you can tuck down underneath it. So it won't be too bad. So, but man, like just going in and around town, doing some things. Bike is very comfortable. Bike is really fun. I like this bike. And the few times I've test ridden these bikes, I've always been impressed by it. But with it being at the size that it is, it's just not conducive to me. However, if I was a college student and I still wanted to be on a bike, I would look at this, especially if your school is like around town, in the neighborhood, or not in the neighborhood, but in the city, doing those types of things, trying to find places to park, this, that, and the other. I see the draw with these bikes. Obviously, it's too quiet for my taste, but I'm here to tell you, this is a fun little machine. You got good power in here, and I don't know that I would necessarily call this a bike to learn with. I say this is a bike. This is an easy bike to learn with. I'll put it that way, because you can learn on any bike, but this bike would be easy to learn with, because in the process of learning how to ride, you're going to be dropping your bike and doing, trying to maneuver your bike around and all those things. And this is going to be easier to pick up. This is going to be easier to clean. This is going to be easier to maintain. This is going to give you a snapshot of life with a motorcycle. So, like I said, it's balanced very well. Let's see if anybody behind me. Nope, nobody's behind me. So let's see how slow we can go here. Down in first gear. Got your preload going. Oh yeah, look at that. The balance on this bike is good. Like I'm barely at walking speed here. And so through the process of the test drive, I've already had people come up to me saying it's a sweet looking bike, this, that, and the other, commenting on the paint. Of course, this is one of the best looking paint jobs that Indian Motorcycle does, outside of the elites. There's some elites that have some really nice paint schemes, but this bike, this paint scheme, the Stealth Gray Azure, is one of the better options, I think, in my personal opinion. And it just makes the bike look, it's almost it's like understated, and then once you stop and look at it, you're like, wow. But the stretched out look, the low look, it's just a good looking bike, man. Oh yeah, you can even do the stoppies easily. So Definitely a head turner, and I'm enjoying this thing here. Is it going to take me away from my pursuit? Absolutely not. There's no storage. The rod's not as comfortable as on the pursuit. So, but if you're just looking to have some fun, you're just looking to get some of that wind therapy, man, you can't go wrong with one of these bikes. Like I said, there's a ton of aftermarket for this bike, for this line of bikes, that you're gonna find yourself working on little projects here and there, replacing parts, upgrading parts, maybe adding power if that's what you like to do, all sorts of things, man. This is a really good platform, very good platform. And with this 100 horsepower, you are not going to be disappointed. Not to say that the other one isn't, but man, this here's good. I want to say I've never ridden the other version of this Scout. I've only ever ridden the 69 cubic inch version. So yeah, that's that. All right, so I could ride this bike all day long, just having some fun. So I'm gonna take this back to the house so that Miss Finesse isn't looking for me, wondering where I am on her bike. So yeah, we're gonna get back over to the house and then we're gonna wrap this up. This was the review of the 2023 Indian Scout Bobber Icon with the Stealth Gray Azure. Hey man, ride every day, and most importantly, make sure you're enjoying it. Peace.